Robin Rouse with RBI. We're out here at the Salt Lake Community College IAB building on the owner training. We have the controller here, that's where we'll start with. This is the backbone of it. We have the O&M manuals that have been provided by RBI to the owner that we'll kind of be formatting as we go through this. But this is the controller. We'll do a quick test here to run through a couple of zones. So the irrigation system, but this is it. We actually have a controller sheet right now. So we have two programs set up. A program is for the lawn areas, which there's only like 4 zones. And then the rest of the zones, like 30 of the zones, are for the plants. All of the irrigation out here is pop-up irrigation. There is no drip, so that's good for the community college. They can see if they have potential problems. One issue that they're going to have to realize is they have smaller nozzles, and when they're on secondary water, even with their filters, you're going to get material out there. And so a bi-weekly check on the irrigation system will be something that they'll want to do just to make sure that nozzles aren't clogging. So other than that, we'll get going with the test here.
Do a step-by-step.
Okay, the clock's pretty self-explanatory. We just ran over to the test section. We're running on test or on B right now, and it should, station number 1 should be coming on, and that should be over in this area over here. And it's not coming on. Hopefully our water's still on. We're on zone 2 on the north side of the building here, and so it's all pop-ups running out there on the test. It's right now set for 2 minutes, or you can manually advance it off right in here. So now it'll go to zone 3.
They're there. Otherwise those plants will be crispy.
Now go to zone 4.
But I'm not sure what it is.
So we'll just stop this for right now. Like I said, the manual for the clock is in it. So they've got it. It's got step-by-step instructions, but it's very straightforward on how to do it. You've got your days of watering, your different programs, and then your water station time, so you can customize it to anything else. They actually run on a MaxiCom system, so they'll be able to hook it up to their computer once it's established and then run it through their MaxiCom system. So that's pretty much it on the irrigation. We're doing the bed area maintenance practices right now. All of the plants are in topsoil with a filter fabric and then a rock mulch over the top of them. The biggest thing on the beds is to make sure that they're adequately watered, almost to the point of saturation, but then let them dry out. We drown more plants in this area than we do dry them out. So what we want to do, and it's hard to tell you how to program it now, they're just going to have to physically be checked, but water them, get them a good soaking, and then cut it off and let them almost dry out to the point of refusal on the water. You want to make sure that that's what you're doing. Most of the plants out here are fairly drought tolerant, and so they don't need a lot of water. Typical program, you're going to be watering like once in the spring till you get into the summer months of June, July, August, and then maybe twice a week. It will not take a lot of water. So the whole system's been designed and the plants have been chosen to not need a lot of water. So it's not like you're watering a formal landscape or lawn out here. It's going to need very little water, and they actually will do better with less water. And so, like I said, when they check it, it's just going to have to be seasonally checked it, and if it's moist, don't water it. And then they'll figure out a program over a period of time, and that will change annually, because once the plants are more established, you'll need less. But on a typical job, once it's established, like I said, twice a week type of a watering for a good saturation and get it done. With the rock and the fabric underneath it, just what we found out so far on the establishment period is you're probably going to have to run a soak cycle on it, because if you run just 30 minutes, the water actually will stand on top of the rock, because by the time the water goes through the rock and the fabric, it's not saturating the ground. So what we've had to do is run multiple cycles in order to get that. So we've run like 3 10-minute cycles in order to get the ground saturated below it. Right now we're only just, you know, keeping it wet till we can shut it down, so it's only running for 10 minutes a zone twice a week, and then we'll blow it out next week. So like I said, we can't tell you, there's no set program to go out here and just water this, you know, X amount of minutes 3 times a week type of a deal. It's going to have to be monitored, you know, weekly and seasonally with your adjustments. And then normally by this time of the year in the fall, with the moisture we've had when the plants start going dormant, you can shut the water off. It's running currently now because of the new establishment. Okay, well, you have different aspects, and that's one thing to take into account, is because now you have a north aspect, east and west. On the west side, there's a lot of plantings over there, but it's shaded by the building in the morning and the trees in the afternoon. So you have a lot of existing. The south side will probably take more water and possibly more frequency. The good thing about the controller is you have multiple programs that if you had to split up the zones to a south aspect or something like that, you could put that on a separate zone, and it may need, you know, more water or more times a week. But yeah, that's a good question on that, because you do have all different aspects out here on what you're going to do. And the good thing is the soil and the plants are the same, but you've got a lot more sunlight, and you're going to get the reflectivity off of the building on the south side a lot more, which will compound the problems. But yeah, when you check it, it needs not just be one area. I would recommend you check 2 or 3 spots in every bed and different areas around that to make sure it is. And that should actually be done right before your next watering cycle. So if you're going to water on a Monday and a Friday, you'd want to check your ground moisture and what you've got on Thursday before you water again. Okay, we're going over the irrigation and maintenance and winterization. We have a point of connection that's on the as-built, and it's hooked onto the campuses. They have a loop around the campus. Our loop goes around the building and terminates over on the southeast corner. There's drains on the mainline system. So basically when we winterize, the first thing we do is come out here, shut off the point of connection to this section, open up the drain lines, drain the main line, make sure we can get as much water out of the main line as possible, and then reclose the drains. Then we'll hook up compressed air to the closest quick coupler to the point of connection and basically blow through the system zone by zone, turning it on through the clock to get the majority of the water out. You're not going to get 100% of the water out, and what our rule of thumb is when the heads start misting, you've got the majority of the water out. If you try to do that, run too much compressed air through there, it actually will heat it up and can damage the heads. Not so much on pop-ups, more so on rotors, but we still keep it a rule of thumb is you're not going to get 100% of the water out of the system. You want to get the majority of it so you don't have freeze breaks. And then spring activation, basically go through, make sure all of the drains are closed, follow them on the main line, walk it through there, and then what we normally do is we'll turn on the furthest away zone, turn it on manually so the air is being pushed out as it's turned on in the spring. And so you're letting the air escape through the zone, or you can do it on a quick coupler, but make sure that you don't get hammer on that, and then literally go through each zone, turning it on, let the air blow out of the laterals and the heads to where you've got water functioning, and making sure that all the nozzles are adjusted correctly and you don't have any plug nozzles. But it's pretty straightforward stuff that the college has done for years. Maintenance, there's very little lawn on this contract. Basically it's the fire lanes. You have the north fire lane and the west fire lane. That's the only lawn through this contract. The lawn is on a geogrid system, so you have a road base topsoil mix underneath, then you have the geogrid. It's a 2-inch geogrid with a topsoil layer on that, and then the sod on top of that, so it's to support for fire truck emergencies or deliveries if they need to. So it is a little bit different than the rest of your campus because you don't have a full deep soil root zone, so it may take a little bit more water on that, but so far it's done extremely well as far as establishing, and the roots going down good into it. So it's the same thing as just, you know, check that bi-weekly on your irrigation system. But the same on the water on the lawns. We recommend that basically you want the lawns to almost show stress before you start the next runtime. So next spring, it'll be a process of when do I need to water it. But so far it's been very good. We've actually cut back the lawn a lot sooner than we thought we would with the soils. Mowing it, once a week. You can't really do alternating patterns on this because it's so lineal with these big rectangles. But as much as you can, don't mow the same direction on the same path every time. That just helps the lawn. We recommend leaving the clippings, mow it often enough that you don't have to remove the clippings on the lawn. They actually are a benefit. And then just check the irrigation. We fertilize standard about 3 times a year. And we just use a good NPK fertilizer with some iron and a slow release on that. You'll want to do slow release. I'm sure that the maintenance people out here can attest to it. Without it, then you're baling hay for 2 weeks and then you don't have it. But a good slow release fertilizer. The polycoat seems to do a little bit better than just the SCU on the fertilizer on the slow release. But that's, I'm sure you'll just add the whatever fertilizer you're doing with the rest of the campus.
We have a microfeed injector.
Do you? How does that work with the plants? So if you're doing the microfeed,
Looks great.
so you're actually fertilizing your plants and the lawn, so that takes care of that. Weed control, do you do that? You can't do that through the microjet.
We do that
So
independent.
the weed control is just, normally you're going to have a spring application of weed control come through here with a broadleaf, and then another one usually in the fall. We recommend twice a year, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And like I said, there's very little lawn on this project compared to all the plantings.